of light, a body of water.
Welcome to the Indie Tea Talk podcast. I'm Adam, and I'm your host for a journey into indie music across the north of England. Tune in as we explore unique melodies, chat with talented artists, and create a space where you can discover your favourite music like never before. Also, if you're new to Indie Tea Talk, please show your support by hitting that subscribe button. It's a massive help to us and also the amazing artists that we help to support. Today on Indie Tea Talk, we're joined by the incredibly talented Eve Buckley. Hailing from Staffordshire and Shropshire and now living in Leeds, Eve's journey into music has been one of passion, persistence and powerful performances. From serenading her family with Florence and the Machine covers in the car to captivating audiences with her alternative, soul and jazz-inspired pop tracks, Eve has truly found her voice. With a year of band gigging under her belt and a growing fan base, she's here to share her story, her music and the magic behind it all. So please join me in welcoming Eve to the studio. Hello.
Hiya.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm very good, thank you, yeah.
Very good, very good. Thank you for coming today. It's been a bit of a chaotic morning.
A little bit.
And it started out with a bit of a chaotic cancellation a few days ago, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
I seem to have a real knack for booking these dates when we have like natural disasters.
Extreme weather.
Yeah, extreme weather. Whether it's huge storms that are blowing trees over to Leeds been cocooned in nearly a foot of snow. I seem to pick them all.
But we're here.
We're here.
We've made it.
We have, and we're recording, and so far everything is going great. Brilliant. So, take us back to the moment at Stoke's Got Talent. What inspired you to step onto the stage and start singing Don't Stop Believing? Because you sent me a little bit of information so I could write this, the questions, and this jumped out at me straight away.
I mean, it was pure cruelty from my mum and dad, to be honest. That's all it was. I was probably about seven. Like, it was at Victoria Hall in Stoke, which is like a massive stage as well.
Right.
I just remember like my mum like dressed me up in this like really nice dress. I got like singing lessons before it and all sorts, but like no backing track was sorted.
A cappella.
It was pure a cappella. And then like, I don't know if Jonathan Wilkes is like a well-known name. Do you know Jonathan Wilkes?
I don't.
No, I think it
Maybe
might
I
just be a
should.
Stoke
I don't
thing.
know.
I think it might just be a Stoke thing, but like he was a judge and apparently he's friends with like Robbie Williams, which I think maybe is why it's a Stoke thing.
Right.
Apparently, unless I've made that up. But yeah, he was a judge and
frantically starts Googling.
Yeah, literally, who was Jonathan Wilkes? But yeah, he clearly didn't like what he saw because I didn't get through. Which is so sad, like a tiny 7-year-old girl just singing her heart out and I didn't get through. But yeah, it was a core memory. A bit traumatizing, but you know, character building.
Character building. You didn't let me know that you didn't get through on the document. Now I feel really bad for bringing it up.
I know. Maybe we shouldn't have brought that up. I'm gonna start crying. Like,
oh,
no,
God.
It definitely was a key moment in my musical career, though.
I think so. It's a scary thing getting up on front of a stage. Never mind when you're 7.
Oh my God, yeah. I can just imagine. Like, I can remember taking those like first few steps and just being like, what have they done to me?
How many people do you think were there?
Honestly, it was a full room, so maybe like a couple hundred people, which is nuts.
That's
to be
a
honest,
scary one, yeah.
For a small girl.
So you've also mentioned Adele and Florence and the Machine as been big influences to you growing up. How do you think their sort of music has shaped your vocal approach? Because I can see some similarities between them. Yeah,
I think honestly, like, so they were like the CDs that were like in my mum's car, just like from when I was growing up. So they were just on repeat like every day.
Yeah.
And like every car journey with my mum, I'd just be like singing through, like I'd know each one like off by heart from when I was like really young. And I think maybe it's even something to do with like, I was even like learning like the way they like phrased vocals. And I think, I mean, I definitely must have like picked stuff up from it, but I think it was just because I loved singing it. And it was also a bit of a challenge because like, obviously Adele's music is like, it's not easy to sing. So I'd be like trying to push these high notes out and then like every day, like trying to get to it. So I suppose like from a young age, I've been trying to like, I don't know, like work on the way I sing and stuff, which is kind of weird. From I was so
I bet
young,
those car journeys were amazing for your mum.
I think my mum got absolutely sick of me, to be honest. I think she probably hates those albums now with a passion.
So. Bless. Another one of your big sort of influences has been going and seeing your brother's bands perform. What is it about those live performances that made you think that you wanted to be up there doing a similar thing?
Yeah, so I was probably about 13, 14 maybe, or maybe even a bit younger when my brother was in a few kind of like indie rock, like adjacent bands.
Yeah.
So I used to feel like really cool, and I was like going on a school night to go and see my brother play like gigs and stuff. But I think just like seeing people like perform their own music was just like, I just thought it was so cool. And I think after like seeing my brother do it and just kind of being like just admiring it really.
Yeah.
When I kind of got a little bit older, I started going to more gigs with my friends, about like 16.
Yeah.
And obviously kind of finding my own kind of taste and like the kind of music I like to listen to and the bands I like to watch. And I just remember like feeling so much from like hearing like the lyrics they were writing and like the music that they were writing. Like I was just like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And like I think it took me so long to like get to the stage where I was confident enough to do that, because it takes like so much experience to like have the confidence to do it.
I think you're right. I think it's not as much. I mean, obviously, it's a massive confidence thing, but as well as that, it's about enabling yourself to be able to share like that, because it's such a, or it can be such an emotional experience, putting your artwork out there and getting up on a stage and putting your heart and soul into a performance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like it takes a lot of practice to I suppose manage the emotions that you go through, like on a song by song basis, really.
Yeah, 100%. And then also I think for me, I think it kind of took years for me to find what I wanted to do.
Right.
Like, obviously like I knew I wanted to, like I've performed in like different kind of variations, I think my whole life. Like I've done like, I used to do drama and stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
And, I think it just took me a while to kind of find what my kind of niche was.
Yeah.
Like when I used to go see my brother, that was obviously way before I kind of started listening to loads of different stuff. Growing up, I was just listening to like a lot of indie bands when I was like in my teens. So yeah, it wasn't probably until I like discovered artists that like I really connect with and like felt as if I aligned with. And then I started writing obviously my own kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I started building the confidence to put it out there.
Yeah. I think the like building up a collection of musicians that you enjoy watching locally is quite it's quite a good experience as well when you're coming into writing or performing your own things, because you get to go out there and watch them make mistakes and make triumphs and see them, like, especially when you're friends with them and you can see them develop and you think, I'm gonna steal that. I'm not gonna do that because that didn't go well when you did that. Or it gives you a lot of opportunities to continue your development through being an audience member as well as being a performer.
Yeah, 100%. I think it also gives you like seeing people like grow from when they're kind of small as well. Maybe like if you're watching bands on like a local, like locally. Yeah, it's like you say, like it you watch them make mistakes, but then it also like you realise that like you can't wait until you're going to be at a certain point to do that, because like everyone's going to like make mistakes live, like things are never going to go the way you plan, like, and I'm like a huge perfectionist, which is like the bane of my life. But like I have obviously like through like starting my own project and gigging loads more, you realise that like it can't be, and like sometimes it's kind of like more human to watch people like mess up on stage.
I love it. I love the mistakes. You kind of relate
to it, like you're like, yeah, like I would 100% do that.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times that I've been like, my amp's not working and I've not plugged it in. Like, you know what I mean? Like
normally
really
one button.
Stupid stuff like that. Like
but
it's just like a human thing, isn't it? And like you realise there's no pressure, even though it feels like when there's an audience there, like I still kind of suffer with nerves sometimes. Like it used to be worse when I obviously wasn't in the kind of routine of like performing as regularly. But like no matter what, like seeing an audience in front of you like feels like a lot of pressure. And like obviously you feel like every move is being watched.
Yeah.
And then I think the more I performed, I've realised like people want to see you relaxed.
Yeah,
you know
of course
what I mean?
they do.
Like, 'cause
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna make them feel relaxed.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, obviously, because like sometimes performance nerves kick in and like there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I've definitely learned to like just embrace the mistakes of it, to be honest.
Yeah. It's the authenticity that's
Yeah.
like you were saying. You know, it's authentic if you make a mistake. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I like it. Like sometimes we'll do recordings here for the podcast, the live sessions, and they're like, oh, it's not. I messed this bit up or I messed that bit up. I'm like, yeah, but it sounded really good. It's like that tiny little bit. You all right? You made a tiny little mistake, but the rest of it, there was so much passion in it. Like, don't worry about that bit. It's part of that singularity of that performance.
Yeah, I think that's every musician's thing, to be honest, is that you're always gonna want it to be perfect. And like I've done so many gigs where like say I've like messed up like a few times and I've come off and been like, that was really bad, and then everyone's been like, what on earth are you going on about? Yeah. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like you got to kind of get out of your head about it. Yeah. And just enjoy what you do.
100%. So usually I don't bring my dogs with me, but I've got my dogs in the studio with me today, and I don't know if you can hear them, but they seem to be digging in the corner.
They're having a lovely time.
They are, yeah.
They're just chilling.
Just digging underneath the desk. Anyway, so you've described your music as jazz-inspired soul/pop. How do artists like Lianne La Havas guide you towards this sound?
I think, I kind of discovered Lianne La Havas when, to be fair, actually, I first heard Lianne La Havas when my dad played her cover of Weird Fishes in the house, and because he's like a massive Radiohead fan, so that's how we kind of discovered her. And I remember like hearing it play and be like, what is that? But I was like, I'm too proud to ask him what it is. But like, get the Shazam out now and find out who this artist is.
I'm too proud to ask what it is. Oh, that's amazing.
And then obviously like I listened to like her 2020 album, like her most recent one. And I've just like never connected with something so quickly on a first listen. Like I listened to the first album and it's like, I think she writes with so much emotional intent, and I just really related and connected to everything that she was kind of writing about in that album. And I think that was kind of the first time where I was like, I kind of know what. Yeah. Like it inspired me to write, basically. Like obviously I've listened to a lot of different things like growing up, and like before that I listened to a lot of like jazz soul influenced artists. But I think like listening to that I was like, I'm really inspired to like
that one's got
release my own music kind of thing. And then also I watched her perform live. I think it might have been 2021. I bought my dad tickets to go and see her for his birthday.
Oh, nice.
In Oxford, and that was like the most powerful gig I've ever watched. You know, I think she'd had a little bit of a hiatus, and that was her first gig back for a little while. So she was like, I think I could kind of tell she was really nervous. And it's like going back to that thing we said earlier, where it was like it felt so human to watch such a massive artist not be like entirely confident. I mean, she's obviously a very confident artist, but I just mean like performance-wise, you could tell that she was kind of nervous. And just like hearing those songs being played live, and the way that she performs with so much emotion was like so inspiring. And then I just, even after I watched her play live, you know, I just carried on writing. And that's just kind of how she inspired it.
I've had a similar experience with a band called Bombay Bicycle Club. They went on a bit of a hiatus, and they did they started going back on the touring circuit, but they did a little, not secret, but a small gig at the Lead Mill in Sheffield.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they were like, you could see them get up on stage, and they were like, because they've done it 1,000 times. They've played all over the world. Yeah. Do you know, amazing band, and they got up there and they were like just warming into it. And by the end of it, they were like the respect that they got from the audience, the way that everyone reacted to their music, the new stuff that they were bringing out, their old stuff. It was like you could see the energy levels just growing and them just becoming more and more open and coming out of the shell as the gig went on. And it were amazing to see that as well. And then I went to go and see them like maybe 3 or 4 months later I think it was in Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like they jumped straight back into that end point. They'd had that warm up. They needed that like that way to express and just get back to it, I suppose. And
yeah, and I think it's all about like kind of the reassurance and like connection you get from an audience as well.
Yeah.
I think it's the same for like any like performer or like musician, doing a live gig. Like when you first get up, you're so in your own head. And you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? And then, you see so much response from the audience.
Yeah.
And just like actual like human connection.
Feeds
like people
you.
are like listening to your songs and like reacting to them. And it like feeds your energy on stage and you just like instantly relax, which is just like something I've always loved about performing.
Yeah. Right, critical question time. If your music was a flavour of tea, what would it be and why?
Yeah.
I love this question.
Yeah.
It's so rubbishly great, I think.
Right, okay. So I've picked. Should I like show it?
Yeah,
I've
please
got the
do.
tea,
Please do.
I feel like I'm like selling like
I know,
tea right now.
That's what
like
I feel like every time.
Hi, the brand. But I brought some really fancy tea today, actually. I've really gone all out. I went to the Whittard shop in Leeds.
Right.
I normally drink peppermint tea.
Okay.
I've never really tried any other herbal teas before, and then my friend recommended me jasmine tea.
Oh, nice.
Which I'd never tried before, and then I tried it, and it's really like earthy and it kind of smells like a garden.
Nice.
Which I feel like sensory wise kind of is my music.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind
yeah.
of floral. I think it's kind of earthy, and it's a really nice colour as well. It's kind of like a golden amber colour, which is nice. So I thought that just kind of
perfect. Well, that's brilliant, because we're about to go into your first live session. And before we do that, I'm going to put the kettle on because I haven't actually tried it yet. But yeah, do you want to give us a quick heads up of what you're going to be playing for us first, and then we will we'll enjoy a cup of tea while we listen to you perform it.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to play my recent single, Tongue Tied, and it's off my upcoming debut EP, which is coming out in February.
Brilliant. Let's give it a listen.
I once lay open, now these days I can't unlock the door. I'm avoiding your dark eyes. You've never looked like this before. I long to feel the warmth in simple things you do once more. Forcing smiles through gritted teeth, suppressing looming outpours. I'm tongue-tied. You've taken my words. You've taken my mind and twisted it to what you prefer. I am blindsided by what we once were, clinging to the day till no sun that's your what I deserve. Static, suffocating, I can't breathe or air for much longer. Every time you touch me, I run cold, feel resentment getting stronger. My wounds too interwoven, the face I see now I can't be unlearned. A familiar bed, it lies in nightmares where I just watch it burn. Watch it burn. I'm tongue-tied. You've taken my words. You've taken my mind and twisted it to what you prefer. I am blindsided by what we once were, clinging to the dated notion that you're what I deserve. Not what I deserve.
So supporting Rosie Frater-Taylor was a special moment for you. What was it like to share the stage with an artist that you admire?
Yeah, it was really incredible. I was given the opportunity from a promoter in Leeds called DJ Luby, who's given me a lot of really cool gigs, a lot of kind of like jazz soul adjacent gigs. And yeah, so like before we did the gig, me and my guitarist Sol Christopher kind of posted a little cover of one of her songs.
Right.
And then obviously like Rosie saw it and she was like, do you want to come up on stage and perform it with me? So me and Sol were like, oh my God, I'm really scared.
Yeah. What have I set myself up for here?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so nervous before. I mean, like, the gig already felt like a big deal anyway, you know, like it was at High Pop Book Club in Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of the first like proper gig I've done there with my full band.
Yeah.
So that already felt like a lot of pressure. And then
Yeah.
to get up and like perform one of her songs with her, like one of her popular songs was just kind of crazy. But it was just incredible, yeah, to support an artist whose music I really love and admire. And, you know, like everything she's done is just like so cool. So I was like, wow, I was just in admiration.
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Like, how did I get here? Like,
yeah, like, how am I here right now? It was just crazy, but it was also like really affirming, I think.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I felt, you know, like really like proud of like what we'd done after the gig, and it felt like a kind of milestone to be like, we are here.
Yeah,
We've just done this gig, this really cool gig. And yeah, like it just kind of inspired me to like go further and further and like keep gigging,
keep pushing yourself as well. You know,
like
it's
every amazing when you do a really good gig, you just get a surge of like, we need to. Yeah, you just get a massive like motivation.
Let's
to
book
just,
one. Let's book it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's literally what's the next one? Like, what's the next gig? So yeah, I just saw it as a massive motivator, to be honest, and especially because that was like Rosie's album launch, and I was like.
Oh wow,
You know, I was like, one day I'm gonna be doing I want to do an album launch tour, you know,
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of thing. And this was obviously before I'd like even started releasing my music, you know, this was like last March, whilst I was working on new music.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I suppose speaking of releasing music and all that, it can be quite nerve-wracking. So what kind of helped you to get over that fear of putting your first sort of songs together and putting them out there?
To be honest, it was finding the right people to work with, people that I felt really comfortable. You know, I met Alex Williams, who produces my music at uni at Leeds Conservatoire. So he was a production student, and I was looking for a keys player in my band.
Right.
I wanted to start. This was before I even started like gigging my stuff. So yeah, we had a few sessions, and obviously he was a production student. We had a few gigs, and then one day I was just kind of like, oh, like I kind of want to get my stuff out there, and I'm looking for like a producer to start producing my stuff. And he was like, I would love to do that. And I was like, oh my
wow.
God, because we kind of have like similar visions for my songs. And I think that gave me a lot of like finding someone that kind of got what I was doing.
Yeah.
Really inspired me to like want to put it out there. And yeah, it was probably like a year ago now when we started planning the EP. Might have been before Christmas last year, and we just got really excited about it. We were supposed to like finish it in like a couple of months,
Yeah.
which I don't know why we thought that was like realistic. But yeah, we were like, oh yeah, let's get it out by like April, like not realizing like how long this is going to take us to do. So yeah, now I'm like releasing that EP like next month, which is really scary. And yeah, like releasing for the first time in September was so scary.
Yeah.
Because I've done music. Well, I've like done music for like a long time. You know, I've gigged. I've started off doing open mics since I was like a teenager. So
Stoke's
like,
Got Talent. Yeah.
obviously, Stoke's Got Talent, like the core like achievements that we've done. But, like, yeah, to have like started from there, went in my teens, and now I'm like, you know, in my 20s, started releasing my own music. It's like a huge deal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I think you're doing stuff under the radar for so long. You know, you're working
Building those
on
skills and
Absolutely.
Connections as well. Like people are a massive part. Like you were saying there, they're a massive part of developing yourself and working out where you want to go and who can help you get there. And you know, the people that you meet along the way really shape the way that you sound and the way that you want to sound. So I think it sounds like you've had a really exciting past couple of months. Well, past 12 months really, getting to where you are now, ready for like the next big step.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think like coming to Leeds was a huge part of that. You know? I think in terms of finding people that obviously like have like similar tastes in music, but also want to make similar things, you know, like kind of alt soul. There's a massive kind of jazz soul scene in Leeds, loads of gigs all the time. So it's just been really inspiring to be there, and that's also, you know, just really pushed me to want to actually properly do it and put stuff out there finally. So
your debut tracks have been really warmly received. What kind of, I was just wondering what sort of message you were hoping that the listeners would take away from the things that you've been releasing.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot, the first 3 songs that I've released they're very kind of emotionally open. I think they're quite vulnerable. Big Shot's a bit of a different vibe. Big Shot's more of like I wrote Big Shot when I was like 18. So it's kind of like it's a very like teenage song to me. I don't know. Like it's got a very different vibe to stuff that I've written recently, I think. Just in a kind of emotional sense for me, because I was obviously a lot younger. So it's kind of got a different message of, you know, like navigating relationships when, you know, in your teens, like early 20s. But yeah, I think the other singles are a little bit more maybe emotionally vulnerable. I think it's just about being open and honest about, you know, the way you're feeling through things. You know, Peace of Mind is about my experience of anxiety and kind of like seeing light and hope through times where you're feeling kind of overwhelmed with that. And then Tongue Tied is about it's about first relationships. And yeah, I just think through all of them, I'm just trying to be really, really open and honest about the word, because that's where my songs are kind of created from. When I first start writing them, they all come from like a really intense feeling that I'm getting.
Right.
And I can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
Like what I want a song to sound like.
So you've been gigging for the past year. How does performing with a band enhance your experience and the audience's experience of your music?
Yeah, I mean, I just love performing with the band. I think when you kind of have a shared love for the music that you're performing, it's really captivating for an audience to watch. And I think especially with my band, they bring so much to my music and they really elevate it. And I think that's kind of plain to see for an audience.
Yeah.
And that's always what I want my music to kind of be for an audience, is like kind of an immersive experience where you're kind of taken into the world of the songs. And, that's only kind of created when all of the musicians on stage are like so into it.
Yeah.
And are just fully into the purpose of the music.
Do you ever like stand there and like the band's all playing and it's all like, it's all grooving together and you can feel it and the audience is like mesmerized and you kind of just look round and have that like out of body experience and just think, shit, this is amazing. And then like have to remember, oh no, I need to come in at this point, or
yeah, it's such a great, like, honestly, that's like the best part of performing. I think also the best gigs are when you get completely wrapped up in it, and you forget that like what you're even doing. Like recently we did a headline, like my first headline gig at the Cardigan Arms. It was kind of a stripped back setup, but I still had like my guitarist and my keys player. And the whole thing was just a blur because it was quite a kind of intimate setup, but I could feel the audience were like in it.
Yeah.
And we were really in it. So then I got to the end of the set and I was like, that was mad. Like I can't even remember like any part of what just happened. Yeah. Which is like crazy when that happens.
Just lived in the moment.
Yeah. And it's just like, those are the best type of gigs when you're just like not even thinking. You're just like in the music.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, what's your goals for the next year, and what's your exciting release dates?
So yeah, I'm releasing my EP on February 14th, which will be announced by the time this is out. Yes. Which is really, really exciting. So it's a really busy time. It's a very scary thing, releasing your first EP. But I'm really excited about it, and I'm doing a string of kind of like a mini EP launch tour kind of thing. So I'm doing a hometown date in Stoke.
Oh,
returning
amazing!
To Stoke
returning
after so many years. I'm definitely not going to be playing "Don't Stop Believing." I promise I can't put people through that again.
Well, I'm just going to say, have you got the judges lined up? Or?
I can't take the rejection again. I can't. I'm going to do a really small, intimate family gig so that no one can criticise it. So that's going to be the Artisan Tap on the 6th of February. And then I am doing a Leeds date, and I'm also doing a London date as well on the 11th.
On the 11th?
Yeah, with that one's with Global Soul Radio, who have supported my music so much. So yeah, I'm really super excited for that.
Yeah. I don't think... I can't actually remember... 1 second, I'm going to slide off a shot.
Off shot.
And I'm back. I'm just looking at when we were releasing this podcast, and I wanted to see... Oh, yeah.
Might be perfect.
Oh, this is great. So, if you haven't already, get your tickets booked, because this is out. You're listening and watching to this right now, and those gigs are coming up in the next week. So... check it out.
They're so soon. Please come.
We'll drop if you send me some links to it.
Yeah.
I'll pop them in the description, so you'll find them underneath this box where we are sitting. And yeah, check them out. Get those tickets booked. They're going to be amazing. So I'm enjoying some jasmine tea now, which is actually very floral.
It's very floral.
Yeah,
very gardeny.
Very gardeny. I've been chewing on some leaves to go with it, I think. But yeah, so moving on, we are going to go into your next live set. What have you got for us now?
So I've got another song off the EP. This one is called That Familiar Ache. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, let's give it a go.
Softening, slipping away from boundaries put in place. Slowly allowing myself to rise to the power of that familiar ache. I grew a hardened eyes that held me down, so I could not be found. Now I've ignited what I thought to die, and I'm awakened by your side. It's about time for flowers screwed up to unfold, feeling golden fly. Lights up our eyes, parts neglected on the shelf have awoke since we spoke. He's dangerously close. Once left in search of better love, I replaced it with empty touch. I soon grew sick, the strangers can't fulfill the ideals I've made up. But I feel it in your eyes, and I start to realize you remind me of who I was before winter hypnotized me. All senses laid beside, now I'm shaking off that rust. Now it's about time for our flowers screwed up to unfold, feeling golden fly. Lights up our eyes, parts neglected on the shelf have awoke since we spoke. He's dangerously close. He's dangerously close. He's so close. He's so close. He's dangerously close.
So before we head out and start buying tickets for your hometown gigs, I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you. Given that what we were talking about earlier on, I think, well, actually, I don't know the answer to this. I think it might be an enforced answer, But are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night owl.
You are? Even though you were saying you wanted to go to bed early?
Yeah, I know. I'd love to. But also, I think, like, I just remember, like, school mornings where, like, I'd be in the car with my mum.
Yeah.
And she'd try and, like, have a conversation with me. And, like, I'd just be like, I can't speak. Like, I can't speak in the mornings. I'm not a conversation person in the morning. I've realised. Like, I need, like, a few hours to, like, warm up, I think.
Yeah.
And I've just, I'm not a morning person.
Perfect. If there was an award for the clumsiest moment you've had on stage, what would you be getting awarded for?
It would have to be... I mean, I've done this many times, and we've already spoke about this, but it has to be when I'm like I ask Sol, like, why is my amp not working? And no sound's coming out. And I literally just haven't plugged it in or like haven't turned it on.
Yeah. You like sat there looking at it for ages thinking, I've done everything. It should work.
And every time I do it, I'm like, why have I not thought to turn it on? Like, it's crazy.
It's always one button, I've discovered.
To be fair, there's different amps and I never know how they all work. So that's my only excuse for it.
Absolutely. Who needs an excuse? Just
embrace it.
Embrace it, yeah. You're stranded on a desert island with only one album. What's your pick?
Oh, I'm gonna have to just go with my first. It's going to be Leanne La Havas' 2020 album.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I'm so sorry. All I've talked about is Leanne La Havas. I'm so sorry.
We're gonna get her on next. Do you know? I write that question, or I write questions like that, and I think, it's not really a quick fire sort of answer, is it? Like, it takes me ages to come up with
about that. Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I don't know.
What would yours be?
Yeah, don't know.
You don't know? Oh, you need about an hour.
Yeah, I need an hour. Yeah, I'd have to go through it. Like, it depends what day you ask me.
Yeah, what mood
because
you're
that'd
in.
completely change it, and then I'd be absolutely annoyed with myself for the remainder of my time on this desert island.
Yeah, if you were in a bad mood for the whole time.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of a band, Bull, from York, and they brought an album out called Discovering Effortless Living. And honestly, I went for 6 months when that album came out, and it was just on repeat in the van, to the point where, do you know when you get your wrapped up Spotify thing? I was in like the top one. Like 0.5% of listeners in the world. You got a video
from them.
Yeah. They were nearly coming round to my house and like shaking my hand. It was unreal. And that album, I don't know, it's so fun, and it gave me the energy to get through a mundane day at work.
Yeah, that's probably how you'd be feeling on a desert island.
Exactly. So I think that'd probably. And I suppose discovering effortless living on an island
it's practical.
is practical as well. So yeah, thanks for throwing that one back at me.
Made you think.
Absolutely. Right then. So how can people find your music? Where can we find your socials? Where's the best to find tickets? Anything? Where can we get you if we want to consume? Where are we going?
Yeah, so all my music's out everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music. And then on Instagram, it's Eve Buckley _ On TikTok, it's the same, Eve Buckley _ I'm also on Twitter or X, Eve B _ there. Facebook, it's just Eve Buckley. And then, all my tickets are just in my link tree, in my bio, on my Instagram and everywhere.
That's the best place to find them.
Yeah, so most of the time I just announce on Instagram first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first place to hear about shows and new music releases and stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Have you got any merch?
I have got merch. Which will be sold at the gigs.
Right.
So
amazing.
I've got tote bags, I've got t-shirts.
All exclusively sold at the gigs. So people are going to have to turn up.
Yeah, people are going to have to come if you want it.
You got to go.
Limited edition. So.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I loved it.
We've had an absolute nightmare getting this over the line.
It's been a chaotic morning, but
yeah, like I was saying, from the cancellations that we had to go through last week to the bloody transportation issues this morning, it's been a real ordeal. But thankfully, it's been an absolutely amazing morning.
Yeah, it has. It's been lovely.
So brilliant. Thanks again. And that kind of wraps up another episode of Indie Tea Talk. big thanks to Eve and everybody that's joined us today. Remember to follow us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube. That'd be brilliant. And don't forget to be getting down in the comments and the description to get some tickets to go see Eve's EP launch.
Yes, please.
So yeah, until next time, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.